Welcome back to AndyTube. This is video number 20 of my restoration of a Model 404 sewing machine. And in part number 20, I'm going to be putting all the wiring harnesses and the light and the harness terminal and the controller socket back into the machine and attaching it. Now, if you remember, when we took this out, I had to cut off crimp splices from these wires. So I'm going to have to make new splices, and I like to strip the insulation off and kind of get it ready before I put the wiring in. So I have my little wire stripping tool, and for those of you that have one, try wire gauge 12. And you just need to strip back about a 1/4 inch or so. Like that. 1/4 inch or a little, I guess that's a little more, but you'll be trimming these. And then just twist the strands together so they don't get hung up as we fish the wire around the machine. So there's the light lead ready to go, and I'll do the wiring harness lead from the terminal clips, about the same amount there. Okay, and these are very fine strands, and that's why I twist them together so they don't get hung up as I'm moving the wires around. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I want to mount the light, and before I mount it, it's going to be easier to pass these wires up through the light lead grommet, the little rubber grommet that's up here. So I'll just take these wires and just gently lead them up through the grommet. It's a snug fit, but not too tight. There they go already. Okay, then I'll line up the light down here in preparation to mount it, and you want to be sure that this light body clamp is securely around the light, that it hasn't gotten loose in your parts bag or wherever you've been storing it. And then we'll just take the screw for it, and I like to put it through the little light body clamp like that, and then I'll just line it up with the hole and take my straight bladed screwdriver and use it to maneuver around and get started in there. And then before you get it all the way tight, just check your, did I get started in there? I didn't quite get started in there. Yes. You go back lefty-loosey a little bit. See if I can get it in there. There we go. Before you put that screw in all the way, just make sure that this the clamp is resting in the little curvature up here properly, so that it's not cattywampus or crooked. And then go ahead and tighten it up firm. The clamp's made out of steel and the screw's made out of steel, so you be firm with it, because you don't want it to vibrate loose. You don't have to smash it down, but just be real firm. Okay, so that is our first part of it. Now this part is a little bit more involved. Get this machine over this way and see if we can take a look down inside there. See, can I get some more light on that maybe? Yeah. So you see that tube, what I call the motor mounting tube, and you remember all the shafts and everything up there on the top left. Well, to the left of the tube and below the shafts, there's kind of a rectangle space, and it's got a kind of a square opening up here at the top. And that's where we've got to get that wire through. So you can try and fish it when you get to this part of it, but I'm not as good a fisherman as I used to be, so I have a little technique. But I wanted to show you where you've got to put that wire. Alright, let's get this machine back on its feet for a moment, because to get all this wiring and the controller socket, it has to go through the opening for the wiring harness terminal. So I usually put the controller socket in first, and then the wiring harness lead, and I get that in there. And sometimes these wires have a tendency to get between the mounting hole and the screw, so we want to be sure that it's just there. Now it's perfectly flat around. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the terminal screw and get this fastened so that it's secure. And it's just the one screw, like what you took out before. The screw that looks kind of coppery in color. I'm going to back that out a little bit. I think that's tight enough for now. Let's address this wiring down here and then we'll continue. So this is kind of going to be in your way while you're fishing that other wire. So just go ahead and mount the wiring harness controller socket. And it just plugs in from inside the machine like that. And then we'll come around on the outside here. And let's see if I can get that up for you, maybe. A little light over there. There we go. And this takes the two little screws. So, change the tip on the screwdriver. I don't know if they will stay on my screwdriver long enough to get up in there and get started or not, but we can try. Looks like they might. Yay! Oop, don't come out now. There we go. Oop. That's what happens, you get overconfident, huh? Okay. And since this is the controller plug where you'll be plugging in the cord from the foot pedal or foot controller, you want to be sure and snug them up well. Again, there's really nothing on the machine that you have to over tighten, but this will be firmly tightened. Let's check this one again. Okay, So now we can take a look underneath the machine and see what we're going to do with that wire. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you're a good fisherman or fisherwoman and you can get this wire up through that rectangle space and out the top, more power to you. I got tired of fooling around trying to do it, so I just decided to take one of my barbecue sticks and put it up there, and then I take some I use just some black electrician's tape and kind of tape the wire to the barbecue stick like that, and put the stick out that hole, and then come around on this side and kind of see if I can guide it up there. Up, I didn't tape it tight enough. Okay, I've retaped this a little tighter this time, and let's see if I can guide that wire up with my left hand while I gently pull the barbecue stick up towards the top. It's not a real big hole at the top. Let me see if I can flip it up now and we'll take a look at it. It's not the biggest opening down in there. Once you get that work through that little hole, then you can pull it up fine. So pull it up snug here so that you got some slack to work with. Then you can take off your tape. Now you may be able to just push the wire up from the bottom. I never have too much luck with that. I think once before I tied a string to the stick and then the other end of the string around the wire, and that worked pretty good too. Okay. So now we've got the wire up there, let's go look at the bottom for a moment and see how we look down there. Yeah. See that wire is kind of going across the tube for the motor, and that's why I didn't have much slack up there. So I'm just gonna, can you see that? Wire's going right across the front of the tube there. Yeah, so I'm just going to move that up out of that notch and take it over the top of the tube like that. That way the opening of the tube will be clear for the motor to go into, and it won't pinch the wire or anything like that. Okay, so that's fine. While I'm back here now, I'm gonna finish up tightening this screw, because it got it sitting flush. I don't think it could sit flush before because that wire was kind of stuck in the opening of that tube and it just didn't feel right. But now it's flush and smooth all the way around, and it's very secured in there. Just double check that I've got it firmly. Don't crank down, because this terminal's made out of the old Bakelite, so you could crack it. So just firm so you can put your plug on and off. That's all you're going to do there. Okay, so back up at the top now, we want to splice the wires back together. And when you take a close look at these wires, you will see one wire is smooth. The vinyl coating is very smooth, and the other one has a line of ridges, and that's to identify which wire is which. And there's like 5 or 6 little ridges that run along it, so you can feel it and see it, smooth and ridged. So you just want to be sure you put the smooth wire to the smooth wire and the ridged wire to the ridged wire. And what the connections that we cut off were the crimp type connections, but I don't use those. I use a standard wire connector, so that if I ever have to take these off in the future, I can just twist them off. I don't have to cut the wire, because your light, the spring clips in the light may go bad, or the wiring may go bad someday, and you're going to want to replace it. And I don't want to keep cutting the wire shorter and shorter. So you gently twist those two together. I'm just going to give them a little haircut there to make the ends clean. I'll get them started. Then I'll take a standard wire connector. It's got like a spring inside, and you just gently push it on and twist, and it's the twisting that will pull it on tight onto the wire. Then I'll take my smooth wire to the smooth wire, and let me twist this up a little nicer, get them fairly even, give them a little twist for a start. Give them a little haircut so that they're even. And then take my standard wire connector and just gently push it on while you're twisting, and twist it up firm. And there you've got the wires spliced back together. Now you can take the arm oil shield now if you want and put it back on. I usually wait because I'm going to be oiling and greasing a little bit more, but let's go ahead and put it on now so that you can see. What you want to do is just tuck that wire into the arm of the oil shield like that, and then lay it flat so it's coming up from your light into that arm of the oil shield, and then that arm oil shield just clips into place just like that. You just push it on the aluminum edge of the opening that the wire comes up through. And then your splice there in this cavity here is big enough to hold your splice. So just tuck it down in there, out of the way. Now the wire's held securely in the arm oil shield, and your splice is secure in this opening for the wire, and that's it. You're all finished with the wiring installation. You've got your light mounted, wires have been run and spliced, and you've got the wiring harness terminal. It's all mounted flush and secure, and you've got the little controller socket all tied down and ready to go. And I think I mentioned I don't put the motor in until much later, but you're all ready for it, and we can dress up those wiring a little bit during that time that we put the motor in there. But otherwise, we're all finished with the wiring, and we're ready to move on with reinstalling other parts. So you did a great job with that. It's not too hard. You did it. So thanks for tuning in for part 20, and be sure and come back for the next part. And you can subscribe, and then I think you get notifications when I post up other videos. So I hope either way that you'll join me. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.